Hi, this is Jim Brisson, and I'd like to talk to you today about how to make a team empowered using body language. So let's get started. Now, I'm an Agile coach, so a few Agile references are going to slip out. But this video is not primarily about Agile. That pseudoscientific chart on the left shows that there's minimal Agile content. So what is empowerment? It's about the team being autonomous and self-directed. The team has a lot of interaction and does a lot of brainstorming. They make decisions as a group. So how do we get empowered teams? Well, it's not something managers can simply grant to teams. There's a whole lot more involved. I know a lot of teams have not been successful in trying to be empowered. So I'll talk today about what empowerment is, and I'll try to show you how you can get teams to work in an autonomous and self-directed way. Now, Peter Drucker, way back in 1954, discussed the idea of knowledge workers, those that primarily work with information, and so use knowledge and intelligence every day to solve their problems. Drucker suggested that for knowledge work, decisions should be moved to the lowest level, since they have the best information and most detailed knowledge. The result will be faster and better decisions. With knowledge work, it can make sense to involve more brains when making decisions. Those brains closest to the work know what to do and how to do it, and they all have different skills and abilities, so combined the team performs better. And when workers devise the plan, they have much more buy-in for executing the work. Gel teams are a related concept described in DeMarco and Lister's book, Peopleware. When a team is gelled, they are closely knit and intrinsically motivated. They execute with higher productivity and are more likely to succeed and develop better momentum. Gelled team members work well together and are more productive. They're more of a team than a collection of individuals. They view the work as the team's problem, and it's usually very noticeable that they pull together and have more fun. Now, gelled and empowered teams have similar characteristics. My guess is that most empowered teams have gelled, and definitely both gelled teams and empowered teams are very good at working cooperatively. Now, cooperation of groups is one of the most studied areas of sociology. There have been over 800 studies over 120 years, so let's look at some of the conclusions of those studies. Teams can interact in three basic ways. They may be cooperative and help each other to complete tasks towards common goals, and then have positive interdependence. Or they may be competitive and compete to achieve goals. If I achieve the goal, implicitly, you fail to achieve that same goal, so there's negative interdependence. And unfortunately, when there's competition, some cheating can become involved. Now, team members can also be independent. We each have different goals, so you can achieve your goals or not, and I can achieve my goals or not. Now, studies have shown that cooperative teams perform better, a whole lot better, 2/3 of a standard deviation better. Cooperators have been shown to use higher cognitive levels and moral reasoning strategies. Cooperators stay on task a lot better. They like their team members more. They support each other, of course, but not only on tasks, they support each other socially as well. Cooperators feel more worthwhile, that others view them positively, that they compare favorably to their peers, and that they're capable, competent, and successful. So that's a whole lot of benefit you get out of cooperation. Cooperators can use good conflict to achieve common goals. When they do, they achieve more, use higher level reasoning, have more accurate perspectives on problems. They reach agreements that are more acceptable to the entire team. They like each other more, and they have better attitudes toward conflict. Now, competitors use bad conflict. They're trying to win the conflict. They don't want to concede. They may use alternative facts and eventually look for a draw rather than a lose. There's only winners and losers with competitive conflict. Now, please notice that conflict itself is not good or bad. Conflict is a great thing when team members are cooperating to achieve a common goal. Moving on from conflict. Deutsch's law says that the characteristic processes and effects elicited by a given type of social interdependence also tend to elicit that type of social interdependence. Well, let me put that simply. Cooperative behavior reinforces being cooperative. If somebody helps me, I'll be glad to help them in return. So it's a positive feedback loop. So what leads to cooperation? Now, studies show that you want substantial face-to-face interaction. You definitely want to have shared goals. This increases interdependence. We'll work harder rather than let others down. Shared goals also lead to good conflict, as we just described. You want individual accountability. Though not as obvious, we need to know when someone is falling behind so that we can help or urge them on. And you also should retrospect to continually improve. It's important for the team to focus on processes to enable them to work cooperatively. Now, we've already discussed the teams need face-to-face interaction to gel and be empowered. Let's dig further into why that's so important and how to make those interactions lead to empowerment. Close interaction is necessary to make team decisions. When the team decides, team members are much more aligned with the decisions, and team members feel they all share responsibility for achieving goals through decisions made by the team. Team decisions have better quality, better reflect different perspectives since all team members' brains were involved, and those closest to the work have decided how the problems will be solved. This close interaction also builds strong relationships, trust, and a sense of cooperation. Gelled, cooperative teams are noisy when they get together. They joke and have more fun than other teams. That noise is a good sign. It shows that a great team is performing at a higher level. Now, leadership styles can stifle interaction and kill that cooperative spirit of teams. When there's one leader, everyone talks to her, not to each other. When they don't talk to each other, they don't build strong relationships, trust, and responsibility that undergird gel teams. And when she leads, she's responsible for the meeting, how it proceeds, and the outcomes achieved. Now, the worst situation is for team members to say, well, yeah, I knew the decision was wrong, but she's the leader, and that's what she decided, so I just did what we were told. When led, team members are less likely to mentally sign up to complete the work. They won't buy in. Team members end up less engaged since it wasn't their decision, and they don't feel responsible. Now, as Mintzberg said, show me a leader, and I'll show you a bunch of followers. I'm going to give specific body language tips for those that might be perceived as leaders, and anyone on this list might be considered a leader by team members, so the advice I have for Green Girl applies to you. If you're a Scrum Master, Product Owner, Manager, etc., when I discuss Green Girl, imagine yourself in that situation. Now, this seems like a neutral format since the team is seated around a round table. But if Green Girl goes around the table asking questions, then she has established herself as the leader. Team members are not interacting. They're just responding to the leader. Cooperation has been discouraged, so there's no buy-in and responsibility and so on. This is not really a meeting. It's more of a serial one-on-one. And this setup is worse. Green Girl is clearly the leader since she's standing, and standing is a very strong position. You cannot take control away from Green Girl without standing yourself. And that feels very, very awkward. Ask me how I know, or better yet, try this yourself. Both will feel the challenge immediately. Now, oddly enough, this situation is not as powerful as the previous one. Green Girl is standing and owns the whiteboard and pen. Standing clearly makes her the leader. But there is work on the whiteboard that the team is more or less responsible for by virtue of their presence in the room. Now, standing is still an obvious challenge, but taking the pen to correct, update, or even lead discussion is less of a challenge to Green Girl, and that's because the board is being corrected, not the leader. The team is working on a common goal. The model is on the whiteboard. So conflict that improves the model is usually good conflict. For what it's worth, models, task boards that are physically in a room can be called information radiators since they radiate information throughout the room. Now, this seating arrangement is a significant change from the prior scenario. In this arrangement, everybody's seat is directed at the speaker, and the speaker is between the attendees and the board models. This body language says that others are not welcome to make updates to the board. Now, in this case, standing is still a direct challenge to Green Girl and would be awkward. In this scenario, Green Girl is presenting. She's the leader because she controls what the team can and cannot see. Others cannot follow a different train of thought. So if they're not interested in the current point, then they have nowhere else to put their attention, so they drift away. There's not as much of a common goal because the view is partial and controlled by the leader. Projectors are not good information radiators because they only provide a partial view of information, so there's less passive information flow. It's always a view directed by one person. It's somewhat awkward still for someone to wrest leadership away from Green Girl, but it's similar to taking the pen. Taking control of the projector can be about achieving a team goal. Now, when projecting, substantial time is spent waiting for the tool to update or for the tool user to navigate, to find things, expand or collapse sections, and then make updates. Also, maybe because we're all designers, too often we critique the tool being used, or the proficiency of the person driving the computer, or the quality of the projector, and so on. And I really don't like that the team is not actively participating or cooperatively updating the information. Attendees are watching a movie rather than interacting. Between waiting and watching, team members are much less engaged, they work together less, and so they're less empowered. What have we learned so far? First, that leader styles and associated body language can significantly affect whether or not a team feels empowered or they feel directed. Teams need to interact to build relationships of trust and to make decisions together as a team. And interestingly enough, information radiators and how they're used can make a significant difference in the level of empowerment. So let's talk some more about modeling and information radiators. Why do models help? We saw in the sociology section that teams need a common goal if they're going to work cooperatively. And models, information radiators, can provide that common goal. A single model can be the common goal of a meeting, and numerous models can reflect the common goal for a business feature. So meetings that create or update models can be empowered meetings. Now, some models and information radiators are better than others, and I strongly prefer models that can be created and incrementally improved cooperatively. And by cooperative, I mean that everyone can participate in parallel, creating and updating. You'll want to use stickies, whiteboards, and drawings. You can create user story maps, impact assessments, sprint plans, task boards. But please do hang them on team walls to radiate information. And this won't work with text documents or text-oriented models like use cases. And of course, please don't hold a meeting where you all just talk, then leave the room thinking that you all agree, but you have no models as output. Now, information radiators are always displayed. People passively absorb information from them and can readily interact with them. On the other hand, information refrigerators hide information until you open the door and find what you're looking for. For example, putting a model in a wiki is putting it into an information refrigerator. Using a projector with a computer is opening a refrigerator door. You still have to find and open the document. Using information radiators helps empowerment. Information refrigerators can make it more difficult. So here's how information radiators can be extra helpful. Blue Boy sees something in an information radiator that makes him wonder. So he pulls Purple Guy aside to discuss the issue. And after getting affirmation from Purple Guy, he explains the issue to others. The team agrees, so they update the model and move on with their meeting. Information radiators are always around to radiate information, and they encourage thought that may lead to updates. Back to body language. Green Girl wants the team to work together, so as a leader, she positions herself behind the group and uses information radiators. Now, if the team is just getting started with empowerment, she may want to send stronger body language by standing further back. From the back, she can still keep the meeting on track. Now, if Green Girl sits behind the team, that's the even stronger body language that the team is responsible for the meeting and that they're empowered to proceed. Team members often defer to upper management, and what a senior manager says may sound like orders and not invite discussion. So when Green Girl's manager drops into her meeting, she asks him to take a seat with her behind the team, which diminishes the body language that he brings to the meeting. Now, of course, the ultimate body language is for Green Girl not to be in the room at all. Clearly, the team is on their own and cannot expect her leadership or decision-making. For routine meetings like stand-ups, not showing up can serve as a test of the team's progress towards being an empowered GEL team. Now there's also oral forms of body language that can help empowerment. When someone in a leadership position makes an assertion, team members are often inclined to take that as direction. When Green Girl asserts, she may never know that someone else had a better solution. And as described many times already, the team will have less buy-in and not feel responsible as a result. When Green Girl asserts, cooperation and empowerment can disappear. To fix this, Green Girl has learned to ask, not tell. When she has an idea, she phrases it as a question, not an assertion. Questions don't sound like answers. Questions feel more like possibilities. The team will tend to consider the question and then give an honest opinion of the suggestion. Questions leave the door open for better answers. Instead of saying we should do X, you might say, do you think we should try X? Do you think X might work? Instead of saying, we're spending too much time on this, say, should we move on to the next point? It seems like we've been talking about this for a while. Instead of saying, well, that's too risky, ask if anyone else thinks this might have a lot of risk. I think you get the idea. You want to pay attention to team members' body language. If they seem disengaged or puzzled or in sullen disagreement, ask them for their opinion. Their thoughts may not be fully composed, or they may not want to be negative or disagreeable, or they may just have a different take on the question. But you want to involve all team members to hear all perspectives and to ensure that everyone is heard and they all buy in. If they do have conflicting thoughts, be sure to use good conflict by ensuring the discussion is about achieving the common goal. Now, the order in which you speak can have a big effect as well. If you have leader status in any way, if you speak first, they will take that as direction. So please try to let others speak before you. Your assertions, even if phrased as a question, can discourage others from speaking up. But please, please do not use this as a form of entrapment. Don't punish them for speaking up early by making them look foolish. There will be times when the team will explicitly ask you what they should do. Now don't fall into this trap. If you answer directly, they will take that as orders, destroying empowerment, buy-in, the sense of responsibility. So just turn the question back to them and ask them what they think. Now when the team is stuck in discussion, don't make the decision for them. Ask them to take a quick vote. Often they already agree but don't realize it yet. Multiple votes can get you to a decision. In summary, empowered and gel teams are great. They have a lot of interaction, can be very noisy, and have a lot of fun. They reach better decisions quicker and are more productive and more successful. But you need to be very careful about what leadership body language you send. Where you sit or stand and how you use information radiators all make a big difference. It's extremely helpful to use the information radiators. They serve as focal points for discussion, can be created and updated in parallel, and help the team work together without an obvious leader. It's very important to have obvious goals when the team gets together. Conflict is beneficial when team members are working together towards a common goal. And as a leader, try to talk last and to phrase your suggestions as questions. Now you take this together, this advice can turn ordinary team into empowered teams in a surprisingly short time. So this is Jim Brisson. Thanks for watching. Don't hesitate to ask if you'd like help with any of this.